Whoa. Where do you think you're going?
I'm going inside.
That's for playoff teams only.
Yeah, that's why I'm going to go inside and you're going to stay here.
Alright, well, we can't wait for Origin anymore. We're gonna have to get started without them.
It's fine, they never show up for these playoff sessions anyways.
That is true. This is our last session. Remember, guys, if you don't make it through this playoff session, you don't get into our scheduled World session in about a month's time. So, Sjokz, G2, Fnatic, we're into the final challenge, Super Week. You have 3 games to decide your fate. If you win, you make playoffs. If you lose, you go home with nothing. We are reaching the thrilling conclusion of everything that has happened over the...
Dude, wake up, you're missing the intro.
Look, it's fine. Guys, like, I've done this before a few times. I think it's safe to say, so just don't worry about it. Let me know when I need to roll the dice or whatever, and we'll just, we'll be fine. Hakuna Matata, it's okay.
All right, screw it. I got nothing to lose. I'm running Gilius.
Okay, you know the rules. If you roll a 20, you win the game. If you don't, Gilius flames you on Twitter and he runs it down. And you have to say the incantation as well.
Okay, whatever. Gilius, king of LEC, ascend to godhood and grant me this win. Woo, 20.
Nice.
I'm up. Jeez, you don't have to yell.
I think I figured out a way to make this work. I'm gonna make all my players happy by letting them pick their comfort. So Hylissang's gonna play Pyke.
Hylissang on Pyke, you say? But you do realize that if the enemy top laner picks Camille, your day will just be ruined. Be awful.
Yeah, but he really likes Pyke, and I mean, no one plays Camille anyways.
Okay. G2. You're playing Fnatic. Hylissang just picked Pyke. What do you do?
I guess I picked Camille.
What a surprise. Yeah, it says here you don't even need to roll. Fnatic lost in draft.
That's not fair. You literally just told him what to pick.
Gilius, king of LEC, ascend to godhood and grant me this win. Yes, 20.
Wow, that's statistically quite improbable.
Okay, I guess we're ramping up, so I'll take it a little more serious too. Can I use a few of my buffs in the next encounter?
Oh yeah, sure. Which buffs do you want to use?
Let's do the World Finalist buff, the MSI Champion buff, the back-to-back MVP buff, the back-to-back-to-back LEC Champion buff, and yeah, the caps buff too.
Okay, altogether that's plus 24 to domestic performance. Wait, there's a footnote. Yeah, it says it would be minus 30 versus LPL teams, but that doesn't really apply here. So I don't think you need to roll. It's fine, you win.
Nice.
What? How is this even remotely fair? Why can't I use my buffs?
It says if you have the different roster, it doesn't apply the same. You get diminished effect.
Gilius, king of LEC, ascend to godhood and grant me this win. Yes! I am God! Fear me!
The hell? Wait, this is bullshit. Can I use the Gilius buff?
Nah, dude, you don't have Gilius.
What? Is there a self-made rhyme I can do?
Selfmade's actually a better player, but she keeps rolling 20s. There's not really much I can do.
What? Fine. Reckless attacks Self-made, attacks Hylissang, attacks Fnatic fans, attack. You all suck. Give me my fern back. Give me my. You all suck. You all really suck. You know that? Asking for my ferns and then they just. Oh, Daisy. Daisy!
Welcome everyone to the final week of the LEC summer season, the regular season, because we are counting down to those finals in September. But this is where the race for playoffs is decided. As 8 teams fight for those last 4 spots, nobody is safe. And as always, every game counts.
Yes! I didn't say it. I didn't say it.
Yeah.
It's actually the most true that it's ever been. And I'm a fan of the old hashtags. Bring them back.
It's right. I can't argue with it this time. In the past, we've been a little, let's say, liberal with applying the hashtag every game counts.
That may
but
be my fault too. Yeah.
yeah, I'll give you at least 50% responsibility on that one. We can assign the rest to producers. Kevin, shout out to you. But additionally, yeah, you're right. Every game does actually count this time around.
Yeah, it's going to be incredible. Super Week is here as well, and that means that there's 3 days packed with action as we decide the teams worthy to challenge for a spot at Worlds. We love Super Weeks nowadays, don't we?
We do. Modern era Super Weeks are bangers.
Yeah.
You know, those of us who've been around for a long time wasn't always the case. Look, they start tomorrow 4:30, Sunday 4:30. What I'm going to be really interested to find out is as the games play out today and tomorrow, first of all, what the quality of our games looks like. And secondly, who gets locked in and who gets locked out, because it's going to take a number of results to come in.
Very exciting and a Super Week, and everything left to be decided. It just couldn't be written any better. Not that it's written at all. But going into the week, only Mad Lions and Rogue are locked in playoffs. That's an important thing to remember. Mad Lions and Rogue locked, everyone else not locked. And what's also important is no matter what happens today, nobody can actually be out of playoffs, even if they lose today.
The terrifying thing for me, not terrifying, the crazy thing is if you look at Sjokz and Laure at 5 wins, 10 losses, even if they lose today, they are not technically eliminated from playoffs. Now, the odds are obviously against them, but the fact that literally they still can make it up there is insane.
This is like every analyst's own personal little hell for playoff predictions, right? Because, like, no one is out. We got 10 games left. No one is out. Everyone is still in it. It's an absolute nightmare to make any kinds of plans. The teams behind the scenes have to be so stressed out because usually we've got, like, 3 teams qualified and 4 teams eliminated at this point in the season.
But I also think the emotional roller coaster, not only for us, but for the teams, for the fans at home, you look at this table and you kind of are like, okay, well, Misfits are out, right? That's what most people think. I believe in them right now. Origin were like, we're already signing their eulogy and being like, well, the odds are against them. What if they go 3-0? What if all of a sudden it gets twisted on its head? 7 weeks of games leading up to now week 8, it just goes out the window because now literally the results are the most important.
And let me ask you, when you say, 5-10 Schalke could make the run to playoffs, are you a glass half full or a glass half empty kind of person? Is the level just so insanely close and good and up there, or is it just really low?
I want the miracle run to happen, and I am more of a pessimist. I think we've seen messier games that we have in a very long time, but man, they are fun to watch.
I just think this is the worst time to predict any games at all. The last 3 weeks of League of Legends have been so impossible to predict. We're like, finally, Mad Lions and Rogue, some semblance of normalcy, our top teams, and they both just lose last week. You can't predict anything safely.
Yeah, and if there's anything I'd want to see, I want the games to be of a certain quality.
Agreed.
But, that doesn't always pan out as such. Some things we haven't talked about, but also like the G2s and the Fnatics. Maybe you haven't watched in a while and you're asking, what the hell's going on? Well, they are still not in playoffs. SK Gaming is up there. Origin, which would be an extreme heartbreak. Oh, so much to unpack.
Don't ask me what's happening at G2 and Fnatic, because I don't know, and I still don't fully believe in them. And I think I'm more on the negative side than most of the team, but this weekend I'll lock in my final opinions.
We'll see. And before we give you our standings predictions, we're going to check in with Medic for the latest news in the race for playoffs.
Thank you very much, Sjokz. Repeat after me. If you don't make playoffs, you don't make Worlds.
If you don't make playoffs, you don't make Worlds.
So true, and honestly, who knows which teams are going to make playoffs this summer? Every team still has a shot, and when things are this close, it just becomes even more difficult to predict. What I do want to talk about, though, is the fact that Rogue and Mad Lions have already locked in the top their spots in playoffs, and they have the possibility of locking in the top 2 spots if they win their games today. But with everything being so close, only 3 wins separating 3rd place and 10th place. Just to give you an idea of how freaking close that is, in spring this year, there was an 11-win gap there. Last summer, it was 8. In spring 2019, it was 9. This is the closest the league has ever been, just ever. And unfortunately for me, and for everyone else trying to predict games out there, it's actually very tough to say when teams are going to lock in or lock out at playoffs. For example, even if G2 wins versus SK in our final game today, that doesn't 100% guarantee them a spot in playoffs. They have to rely on every other result going their way because every result is intertwined with every other result. And really, the only way to guarantee playoffs is to get 10 wins. That's summer's magic number, so to speak. 10 wins, you're in. Less than that, and, well, things get a little bit messy. So what lock scenarios even exist? Well, if Rogue and Mad win their games today, they both actually lock top 2, which is obviously great for them when it comes to playoff seeding, because the higher you lock, the more championship points you get, and that's a higher finish in the playoffs. On top of that, if both Rogue and Mad win their games, then the winner of G2 versus SK actually also locks a spot into playoffs. Now, this is because if Vitality and Misfits have already lost, the only teams that could get to 9 wins at the end of the season are G2, SK, XL, Fnatic, and Origin. And although that's a very long list, our head-to-head records and the remaining schedule mean that both SK and G2 would actually still lock into playoffs due to the tiebreaker rules. Look, guys, I'm going to be truly honest. I feel more and more like Quickshot every day, not only a boomer, but also going slowly mad as I try to calculate the 32,768 possible scenarios that could play out over the last few days. But rest assured, I'll be with you throughout the weekend, and I'll give you all the latest updates, because in the LEC Super Week, every game counts.
Ooh, I don't envy him. I don't envy him, Medic.
not.
Thank you so much for that, but it's just going to become more complicated. Well, it's supposed to become easier, but I don't think it is in this
I mean,
case.
look, with every game that gets locked in, that number drops. 32,768 drops to 16,800, drops to 8,000, drops to 4,000, etc.
Are you doing this math live?
You cut it in half.
It
is
just
what he
gets
said.
Yeah, I know that, but I couldn't even do that
It just gets
live.
cut. Arithmetic is the only math that I can do in my head, but it's 2 to the power of the number of remaining
Yeah,
games.
yeah,
The
for sure.
thing that is interesting is that the Lolly Sports Stat Twitter did just release the Foldy sheet. It's ridiculous. It's a Foldy mountain. It's not a sheet. There's 32,000
Yeah.
freaking cells.
Don't try
right?
and print that.
But
If
the
you
important
do
thing-
try to print it, tag us, because I would love to retweet that.
Don't
That's
kill
funny.
the trees.
That's true.
You're
That's
trying to kill the planet here.
That's
But
actually
I
true.
do
Don't
think the
print it.
biggest
You're
thing,
right.
the biggest thing to take away from me from Medic is that if Mad and Rogue win their games, and they should, then G2, SK, one of those teams can lock, and that's really important.
Well, it is impossible to predict, yet we've been asked to predict. The experts, you know, we use that term loosely over here, as well as
Fair.
people at home, try to predict the final standings. And we have a graphic that's showing all of ours, at least, so you don't have to be embarrassed all by yourself. Let's see. There's only one person who put Schalke actually in playoffs on its ender.
wow.
I really want the miracle run to happen, but I don't believe that it will. Does that make
Okay.
sense? And I give all credit
Okay.
to Ender.
So, a little analyst theory, quote unquote, as we are using the air quotes today on the desk about that, to break this down. Everyone picks 5 teams kind of seriously, and then I feel like everyone's 6th team is kind of like the.
Excuse me?
What's your
My
edge?
6th team
No, don't give me
is
that.
deadly serious.
Yeah. So
It's
that's
just-
your edgy
I
prediction.
started my predictions with saying Misfits are going to make it. I think they get in. I have absolutely, only analytical research and belief in the players and the team, and nothing to do with my wife. And once I looked at locking them in, then I looked at all the other results. And unfortunately, that means Mad Lions have to go 0-3, and Rogue going to take top spot.
Okay. Anyway, we also
I was just going to say I felt weird because so many people picked OG and I thought I was being edgy, but yes, you did pick Misfits.
Did you say that you had this special DM from someone?
Yeah, so Deficio did at least slide into my DMs and give me a whole speech about how great this week was going to be for OG and how they've turned it around. And I have a sneaking suspicion that there are at least 3 other people on this chart that he may have snuck into those
Have you
DMs
noticed
and tried
whose
to sell.
DMs he did not slide into, and wondering why he's not on some other person's list?
Yours?
Wow, it's really just the Trevor Love line.
Yeah.
Like we're not even here for
Anyway, we put ourselves out there, so please also let us know what your predictions are. This is a level playing field here. We're going to move on because 1 minute you're a superstar and the next minute you just don't know what you're doing. And that is exactly the topic of our next segment, which is called That Didn't Age Well. So we're going to take a look at a couple of clips or tweets or whatnots and see how they fared as time progressed. Let's take a look at this first one with Jactroll, who is very confident after returning to the LEC. Check this out.
From the first scrims I played with them, I was very communicative, and I noticed that they have some lack in macro knowledge, and I pretty much taught them a bit how to play the game in my perception.
Okay.
And once they understood my point of view, they listened, they follow my calls, and this is how we play out the game in most ways. But also everyone in the team talks, but I think I bring the most decisiveness and calls.
Damn, that really did not age well. Going 2-0 on the debut weekend to then lose the next 4 games back-to-back. I know what it is, though. It is the perfect definition of the honeymoon period. you know, this new relationship, it's blossoming, everything's amazing all the time, no matter what you do, no matter what action you throw yourself into, it's incredible. And then you actually live together and you spend time together and you have conversations together, and then, you know, it goes to hell in a handbasket, like, really quickly. And I'm not speaking from experience or anything. You know,
I can imagine there's someone at home who's really pissed off right now, Trevor. So
yeah, Jactroll and OG. that's what I'm trying to say.
How do we even like really follow up to anything
I don't know, because I also don't want to be too mean, because honeymoon phases are a thing, and I like that he was so positive and so optimistic, and maybe that means that
and
it is there.
There's
it
a
is
chance,
there.
right? And that's the whole thing, is that message didn't age well. There's 3 games left, and there's a chance to make that message land very well, because the history is written by the victors.
Exactly. Some of our previous victors always have fun on Twitter. G2 also had some fun, especially ahead of their game versus Sjokz.
And this is really crazy to me, because the fact that G2 tweeted out this at all, really any bragging at all this season, and the hot mess that has been every G2 game, because the fans don't know, I don't think the lineup knows, I don't think Grabs knows, I don't think Carlos knows. Anytime they set foot on the rip, it feels like we're flipping a coin. Do we get peak performance G2, or do we get like half asleep, rolling out of bed G2 2
like
minutes
the
before the
Dungeons and Dragons
broadcast?
version of G2.
Yes, exactly.
I saw that. What I love about this is that after Sjokz won the game, they literally just copy-pasted word for word the same image, the same tweet, and just tagged G2.
Thank you for doing your social
so
media work
good.
for us.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
I mean, and I think you put it very nicely. Even though this is all that didn't age well and lots of teams said things that didn't come true, this is where they can actually make it count, because everyone can still get to
100%.
There we go. So the Rogue and the Mad Lions, they've been doing amazingly. Actually, nothing to be ashamed of. They've been our top teams throughout summer, and tomorrow they clash in the fight for first.
Mad Lions and Rogue have proven week on week that they are our 2 best teams in the league. Rogue, the more consistent, you know, grind you out sort of team, whereas Mad Lions throwing fights at you. 2 very interesting and exciting teams in their own right.
Sonic Wave has already used Stormbringer, used defensively.
Shadow!
He got the first! He got him!
Just leave it to Shadow to find that insane play on the Lee Sin. Larson is the best team fighting mid laner in the LEC right now. You have to hit him early. They failed to do that, and here they go again.
Sama going forward, maybe. Can Syndra steal it? Syndra's looking for the setup. You gotta get it! Oh, are you kidding me?
But Hero's entrance comes down from Humanoid. Ender, you said you wanted to see plays, and they've already arrived. First blood for the Mad Lions.
I think we're starting to see the Humanoid that was promised realized.
We are first place right now, but we should just take like every game in the thought that we are 0-0 right now. I think that's like the best mentality to have, like not get too complacent just because we are at the top.
Now we are tied for first. I'm feeling happy about it, but not like very satisfied. We have to try hard as much as we did for split.
Rogue versus Mad Lions is possibly the most anticipated rematch of summer. Both teams have dominated countless opponents while showcasing very different playstyles. Even more due to the playoffs format. If either Mad or Rogue win the summer split, their spot at Worlds is guaranteed.
Yeah, I mean, Worlds is the only thing that's on our mind. If we wouldn't make Worlds, it would be a massive disappointment. I mean, our motivation is like for sure just getting to Worlds.
Each one of these players wants nothing more than to declare themselves the best in the LEC, and there's no way around each other. Although Rogue lost the last time they met, the odds are different and the stakes are much higher this time around.
Rogue is a team that are winning games by cheesing a lot, but it's not gonna work against the best teams, which is why I think they are gonna lose to us.
This is what modern, peak European League of Legends looks like. This match features the best talent the EU has to offer. Young, eager, hungry, and with unlimited potential.
Kaiser right in the back line. The exhaust goes down, but it might not be enough. On's going to be in trouble. Almost one shot. Kaiser desperately wants to finish the kill. He's going to grab one. Arome buys space. And now Arome gets to slice and dice his way through the Rogue lineup. And this is the game.
Mad Lions they look really good right now. I think when you look stylistically how they match up against Rogue, it's going to be pretty favorable for them.
And Rogue send a clear message to anyone who doubted their pedigree as they destroy Fnatic.
With the regular split coming to an end, all eyes are set on the battle for first. Who is worthy of taking it all? The glory, the title, the crown.
Can I just say, what year is this where Rogue and Mad Lions are fighting for first in the LEC? I don't care. I love it. A changing of the guard could never be as apparent as it is right now. These two teams are fighting for first in the regular season, and what else?
It's a big question, of course. We got to see how far they can go. First seed coming out into playoffs will get a spot at Worlds, courtesy of that fourth Worlds slot, which means that either of these teams that have never been to Worlds, of course, Humanoid has gotten a chance to play their Vander as well, but the teams as a whole and the organizations could get to Worlds without playing a single best of 5 in our playoffs, or winning a single best of 5, rather.
Yeah.
If you think about it, the work of G2 and Fnatic and Splice and Vitality, all that, like all the good work that was done, they now, if they lock in first spot, they get to go to Worlds.
I actually think that this could also be a preview of the finals. I do not yet fully believe in the power of G2 and Fnatic just yet, especially Fnatic. Now, I do think the doubts are slightly weaker on the G2 side, but seeing what they can do, seeing the consistency they performed, I would like to see these last 3 games, the fight for first tomorrow, but I'm bought into the rookies. I'm bought into the hype.
I think it's a little early to be counting G2 out. Fnatic obviously looking very lost, but until they're like out completely, I won't believe it. I have to see them die with my eyes before I will count them out.
What Larssen and Humanoid are doing in-game, statistically as well as performance, Larssen is just popping off. Despite the fact that Humanoid does continue to die more than most mid laners, he's still performing exceptionally well. And look, I'm just saying that these guys could prove a challenge to Caps, and the rest of the teams are looking good. But for these guys, it's a fight for first, it's a fight for guaranteed playoffs, and that's what matters right now.
Absolutely. Don't want to burst the bubble, right? But we got a 2-0 G2 last week, and we had 2 stumbling teams behind us. And I think that is why they will show up and be very clean, hopefully, this weekend and show, no, it might have been a stumble, but we are the real deal coming into these playoffs.
And that's why it's bigger than just the fight for first seed. It's about a statement for the post-season, setting themselves up as contenders to take down the likes of G2 Fnatic.
And also just a potential preview as a set of the final. So finding these wins, exploiting the weaknesses that we saw from 2 teams who, as you said, did stumble last week. Humanoid, you brought it up, has a lot of deaths, did get absolutely blown out by the likes of Melitza, by the likes of Skeanz. So if that's something that Rogue can repeat, they've suddenly got a blueprint for beating Mad Lions in a best of 5, and that is massive.
Well, let's see. Be sure to check out that fight for first. That's tomorrow. But today, though, we have some matchups with huge impacts in the race for playoffs. My eyes are immediately going to the middle of that table. Sjokz versus Fnatic. The SO4 Miracle Run starts with Fnatic.
I want the Miracle Run to happen. I don't think that it will, but it would be insane. It would be such a great story. I just want to see good League of Legends. I think we've had a lot of debate, a lot of discussion. We're looking at Worlds, and I'm hoping for clean plays, good macro.
And I think it's just a fair request, right? I think that, like, look, if we're going to have the first split where either G2 or Fnatic are going to get kicked out of playoffs, I don't want it to be because they're showing up and they're just playing horribly on stage. I want them to fight, and I want them to lose the spot, because then it means so much more to the teams that actually qualify. The Fnatic fans, while they will certainly be pissed if Fnatic doesn't make playoffs, can at least say, hey, we played those last three games really well. So I don't want to see any slumps. I don't want to see any teams collapsing right at the finish line. I want full peak performance from each of our teams.
Yeah, hard week for everyone, but Vitality have a particularly difficult task ahead of them this week. And earlier, Laure checked in with Skeanz.
And thank you very much, Sjokz. I'm back here in the LEC for the 8th week of this summer season, and Skeanz is joining me finally for this very first interview in the LEC. Thank you very much, Skeanz, for joining me.
No problem.
So great to finally be able to talk to you. I mean, you arrived in spring. Spring was a bit complicated for you. Summer was a bit different for Vitality. So explain to me how different was summer compared to spring, especially for you.
I mean, it's just that we have a lot of problems in the summer. No, in the spring, sorry. Like we have a problem of visa, and I mean, for me, to just start to play with mid laner and support. Like they change every week, so for me it was pretty hard. And I mean, yeah, I think that's the most.
Yeah, and the team seems to be clicking here. I mean, Melitza arrived, as you said, he had visa issues in spring. We'll talk a bit later about the synergy you have with Melitza, but you, I mean, you went back playing in the LFL, and I heard about you needing to regain self-confidence. So tell me about going back to the LFL and again to the LEC and how you managed to regain the self-confidence you needed.
I mean, when I was in LFL, like we won everything, so for me it was easier to work with them as well. Like it's easier to work with the academy team, and yeah, I get confident because we win everything actually. So I was ready to play LEC again, and I think it's worked really well.
Well, Tell me about the LEC then, because you told me in the LFL you used to win everything, but here, talking to Duke, he mentioned a lot of time inconsistency issues with this team, and the fact that you can have really high highs but very low lows as well. So what about the consistency with Vitality, especially in the LEC and in summer here?
Yeah, I think we just need times because I mean, NG was playing 2 first week or 3, I don't remember. And we have, I mean, NG is like a more support playstyle, and a more aggressive playstyle. Like I'm playing Lee Sin, he's playing Gragas, Skeanz, things like this. So I think we just need times, and I think now we're ready. Like we Skeanz are going way better. So yeah.
It's very good to hear, and I mean, every team has a shot for playoffs yet entering this week, and you still have one as well. You don't have the easiest schedule, the Rogue, Sjokz, FLICKR, and the Misfits. I mentioned Rogue, but I mean, you beat Mad Lions last week as well, so how will you approach Rogue this week and in a few minutes?
I mean, they're still really good for sure. Like, I mean, it's the second best team in Europe, so I mean, I'm really confident that we can beat them for sure. But I mean, we will see. I'm not sure. I mean,
well,
yeah, I don't really know.
I wish you good luck, Skeanz. Merci beaucoup pour l'interview. Encore une fois, I'm really looking forward to seeing flashy listen plays as usual. And now back to you, Sjokz.
Merci beaucoup à toi aussi, Laure. Vitality, they are fighting to stay in the race for playoffs, but as she brought up, they did just beat Mad Lions, but then they got stomped the day before, so the inconsistency is there. Can they channel enough in order to get this important win?
All right, so to be fair, we talked earlier about glass half full, glass half empty. Here, I'm going to go half full on this one because I loved what I saw from mid-jungle. Skeanz and Melitza together absolutely dismantled Humanoid. It was a beautiful thing to watch, and these are the guys that we have to keep our eyes on because I think the way that they played, if they keep that level of performance, they're a threat to every team, Rogue included, because when you shut someone down this well in the early game and then continue to play so cleanly, mechanically across a game, you are just a massive threat.
And the thing is, against a player like Humanoid, who does have the highest number of deaths for mid laner in the league, once you do find a way to get under his skin, you can punish that over and over and over. While that looked fantastic last week, I don't have the same confidence they'll be able to do that against Larssen and Inspired today.
Exactly. Apply that, I mean, one-to-one to Larssen. He is the safest guy out there, right? He's always controlling. He always has, he doesn't take a lot of risks, but he always wins the game.
And the thing for me is that while this was a fantastic performance from Vitality, it was very impressive, I think today it's going to be a slightly different beast. Rogue have the statistical best early game out of the entire league. Just to rattle off, the first place stats in First Blood, First Tower, First Herald, goal difference at 10, 15, and 20, towers at 15, opponents' towers at 15, they are exceptional. The thing that I didn't understand is that once I get out of that phase, I'm like, okay, I can get laning phase. Even I understand that. I had to reach out to FLICKR and Vedius and Ender and ask them, why does Rogue take such a long time to close the game? And they do say that a lot of it has to do with the decision making. Once you get away from the smaller objectives and you have to play deeper on the map, plus the compositions that they are playing, they're looking for that third item power spike before they finish the game. I don't think a team like Vitality is going to be able to overcome either their early game or their late game today.
I think for the most part, you're right. I think Rogue is a team about high percentage plays, and the later you go with scaling compositions that Rogue likes to put together, the better your chances are going to be that you're going to win. Now, that said, there is always the theoretical hope that Vitality could disrupt Rogue's early game. I just don't think it's very likely, and as we know, the later you go in a game versus Rogue, unless you are a G2, a Fnatic, or on occasion a Mad Lions, I don't have faith for you to turn it around with some kind of crazy play to shut them down.
Drakos. All freaking summer, we've been sitting here going, we think we know what's going to happen, and then we get surprised. So on paper, with all the stats and the research and the prep, you're like, Rogue should be favorites. But if any time they were going to lose, it would be this split this year with these teams. You know what I mean? Like, it's insane because the possibility is there, but theoretically it shouldn't happen.
Yeah, and we should also see which team can translate that huge pressure that is on their shoulders whilst they're behind their computers at home into the actual result today on the Rift. We will see what happens at our first game of the day, Vitality versus Rogue. Let's kick off the LEC Super Week.
Let's kick it off, Betty.
Woo!